What does burnout really look like? It's not about collapsing or crying at your desk. I didn't do that, but it felt like I was still functioning as usual, but slowly breaking down inside. And in this video, I'm gonna show a little bit of how my own high functioning burnout looked like, how all the red flags were being ignored, and I guess how I finally walked away from it. And so the thing is, I've always been a very positive person. I like to see the brighter side of life, basically, right? And I think how I started to realize that part of me was burning out was really when I started to become negative, right? About things, about like what was happening around. I couldn't find that brighter side to life anymore. And so what really does high functioning burnout feel like? Right? It feels like you are performing. There's nothing different. You're overperforming, maybe sometimes even exceeding expectations, but it still feels like you're kind of mentally and almost physically checked out. And I guess some of the things I realized that I started to do was firstly, every Sunday night felt like a nightmare. I started to have dreams, right? And nightmares about work itself. Every morning before 9:30, I dread opening emails and I dread looking at my Slack. And I felt like even though we were doing things, we were getting things done, I don't feel any joy anymore. And I think that's a very big red flag for me because I like being happy. Right? I'm a happy person. I guess another red flag is that I started to stay silent, right? Not because I didn't have opinions or not because I didn't want to put my point across, but I just felt that there wasn't any point anyway. They're not gonna listen, firstly, and what's the point, right, basically? I think people started to realize, people started to see it. People even came up to me and asked, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? And of course, being the strong me, I'll be like, yes, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. Are you okay? How are you? Right? I think that has always been like my personality. And honestly, I felt like I really had to hold it together for my team. Right, and I do have a team. I had a team to take care of, and that was like number one priority for me. And I think I remember vividly there was a particular incident that happened that really triggered me, and I tried to keep it to myself. I tried my best, but I just couldn't because if I kept it into myself any longer, I might have just burst out in tears at that point. And that was when I realized that maybe it was my own feelings getting ahead of me. I didn't calibrate myself enough, or yeah, that was really going through my mind because I don't usually react like that. I'm typically very calm, happy, positive, but I became this grumpy, negative, easily triggered by things kind of person, and I didn't like that side of me. And I still remember sitting there and thinking to myself, it's just me, it's okay. Right, I'll get through this. Don't worry, I've been here for long enough. I'm okay. Like I literally had to do so many statements of self-affirmations to myself to tell myself that it's okay. And then I realized I probably wasn't okay at that point. I just didn't want to admit it until things really started to crumble. And here's one of the examples that really felt like a crumbling moment for me was when we had a meeting, right, between us, the management and agencies, right? And I think one of the things was that the whole thing that we were trying to do felt really under-supported because number one, they didn't understand the concept, but also at the same time, we were fighting. We were trying our best. We were trying all different kinds of ways, but ultimately, because the top level concept they didn't understand what results it will bring, we couldn't translate it into the types of results that they want. And because of that, it was very brutal, right? I would literally say it's brutal. It was like, nope, no more. I'm not going to support this. At that point, I thought to myself, why the fuck am I still here? Literally, I remember thinking that to myself, and then I quickly took it back. I was like, whoa, hold on, Pear. This is not you. This is literally not you. And of course, fast forward a few weeks later, this is where I am. But I think my key takeaway here for anyone who may be watching this is that I think these situations are a lot more common than we think. We're just not that great in identifying it and tackling the problem head on. And especially in Asian culture, right? Asian culture, expressing your emotions or even speaking up sometimes feels like a weakness, right? And so a lot of times we bottle it in inside, we keep it in, and you put up a strong front. It's normal, right? And I do see that now that has its advantages and disadvantages. Of course, as someone who has been high functioning for the longest time, I just thought to myself, what is this, right? I'm so used to hard work. It's not about putting in the late nights. It's not about putting in the hours, but I didn't feel like it was the right space anymore. I just didn't. And look, I think we're all trained or conditioned by corporate, right? That these kind of things can be normalized. It's normal for people to feel this way. You will get through this, yada yada. But also realize that there is a limit to this, right? I always tell a lot of people, I'm not afraid of hard work, but when you cross my line in terms of ethics and boundaries, that's when I do not accept. And so, I mean, I literally feel like a deflated balloon, literally a deflated balloon, right? And that wasn't fun. It was impacting everywhere else, impacting my relationship, impacting the way I treat people, and I really didn't like that side of me. I want a happy payback. So I guess making a decision to move on, right, to in a way free myself from the current state that I was at was just long overdue, right? It wasn't like an impulse decision. It wasn't like a, oh my God, let's do it, right? I think it was just built up, and I think that's okay. What I see a lot of people is that we are not willing to take that step. We don't dare to see what's ahead of us. And I've been in that situation, right? I don't know what would have come next. I don't know what will happen, but you just had to do it anyway. And so, if there are a few takeaways here for anyone watching this, these are the few things that I've taken away myself. Firstly, you're not broken, right? If you feel like you're not yourself, don't beat yourself up for it. Find that root cause, right? Whether are you burnt out? Are you not in a space that suits you anymore? Look for that. And secondly, just because you're a high functioning or rather a high achiever or whatever, doesn't mean that you're always okay. And you yourself need to acknowledge that. Sometimes it's about taking 3 steps back and re-evaluating, really thinking and reflecting, which I know not a lot of us have the time for, but that's super important because it kind of gives you headspace to plan what is best for you. Thirdly, the hard one, resting. Resting is not a weakness. I know a lot of people, especially like me, will feel like not doing anything equals to being weak, I'm being useless, but I've come to realize, and I'm still trying to, is that resting kind of helps you unlock new potential. It gives you the space, it gives you that time that you've actually been missing out on. Lastly, you don't recover instantly from feeling burnt out. You just don't, right? I've seen other posts that says you even take 22 months. Maybe I won't take that long, but I think it just feels like a healing period that is important for anyone or anyone who feels like they are super tired mentally, right? Because I think this just gives you a little bit more intention, right, in terms of your next steps, what you feel like you want to do, and intentionally doing less, but there's meaning behind and everything that you do from here. So again, I was burnt out. I really think at the end of it all. And I did wish someone would have told me in my face, right? That, hey, you're burnt out, stop doing this. But I guess I learned it. So now, hopefully, you're able to spot some of the signs as well, right? And being able to take that next step for yourself. And I guess if you have ever felt this way and you want to know more, I will be continuing a lot more conversations, right, especially around modern leadership. I think this is what this channel really is going to be for, because I genuinely believe, right, today Gen Zs are becoming colleagues, millennials are becoming leaders. How do we deal with leadership? I think that is very important in our generation, and I really want to unpack some of these conversations, these hard conversations that we should have. Until then, see ya!